we're back. All three of us, the three amigos,
Finally,
right again.
man.
We're going down to Fight El Guapo this week here on the Tigs Bit podcast. So, welcome back, everybody, to Tigs Bits. I'm JR the Handler. That's Tigs. That's Blazy Blasey Blase. We're all back this week. I had to miss last week, guys. Sorry I was out. Y'all know, if anybody doesn't know, I had a little incident at home, had a little water leak issue in one of my walls, flooded part of my house. We got it all straight. It could have been a lot worse. So had to get that wrapped up. So I missed last week's show. But it sounded like you guys had a good time because I keep seeing this stuff pop up on social media and on some of my little text threads. So I haven't got a chance to catch up. So I might need a quick recap of last week before we even get into this show today.
Oh, well, number one, very happy to have you back, JR. There's a little decorum now possibly here in Tigs Bits. We're maybe getting out of the slums a little bit over here. But, man, it's been a crazy ride. Once again, you know, Bubba the Love Sponge, drama, story, things that just evolve around Bubba. We somehow or another end up kind of in the middle of it. We talked about it just last week when we were just doing our show. It came up, and then the next thing you know, we had to drop an emergency podcast this past weekend. It's blowing up on Twitter and Facebook and all of that stuff, and we, you know, it's been a wild ride. But we have to thank Mr. Blase, the pimp on the blimp himself, Mr. Chad Blase, the one man posse, for absolutely putting this to the front light.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we talked about, we figured out every time JR is away, the boys will play. I mean, we just it's like Daddy left town. Like, oh, what can we do? Let's go get into something. Oh, I know. Let's go crawl down into that gutter over there and get in some wild action. You know.
Y'all like the band guys.
It's exactly what we are. I mean, I think that you probably dealt with this your whole career in the music industry. Yes, we're like the band guys. You've always got to be watching us.
So that's why y'all got me on here. What my podcasting skills? Y'all just need a damn tour manager for your show.
We need everything.
Yes.
We need handling.
We got to have somebody to
keep
keep our ass in line, man.
Well, apparently not, because whatever you're doing's working, and anything we can get to catch people to talk, chit-chatting, and stay involved and engaged is what we're trying to do with all things Southern and cultural. And give me a little breakdown. Like I said, I haven't got to catch up. I saw a couple little snippets here. I mean, it is quick or as long as you want, but give me the tip sheet.
Monday evening, I get this tweet on my phone from this guy that used to work for Bubba the Love Sponge on his show. His name's Tuttle. And it's very, like, cryptic. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. It's something about Tampa radio versus Orlando radio and real vague, and I couldn't find any reference points. Whatever. Moving on. So then the next day, I realized there's this video had leaked of what turns out to be Bubba the Love Sponge girlfriend going to a meet and greet at like a gun shop for Mike Calta. And so this video shows her, when it picks up, she is recording him talking in an interview, like face to face, 3.5 feet away, not harassing, running him around the room. She'd actually been granted permission to do this. She threw up some good softball questions, they say, like, you know, and then she asked him, you know, something about the Hulk Hogan incident. And then he just turned immediately. It was like, how pathetic is your life? That you're going to come in here and do this. And she says, how pathetic my life, how's yours? And he snatches the phone out of her hands.
I did see that clip. That's the clip I saw. The guy at like an Applebee's grabbed the phone,
and then he's filming her
at the table.
And she tries to get her phone back.
I saw that. Yeah,
and
everybody's
just
seen
degrading her the whole time, you know, calling her the C word and all this other stuff. It's terrible. And then she reaches, and he's trying to hold the phone away from her over here, right? She reaches up, try to get the phone. Dude, he takes a forearm to her chest and shoves. And what's funny, that they said he was creating space, right? He shoves his forearm into her chest, and then he kind of retracts and then really goes in with a hand right to the face. I mean, even the cop said she had bruised lips. Then he kept her phone, kicked her out. She was trying to get her property back, man. It's crazy. And it doesn't matter who she is, whose mother, whose daughter,
she was just trying to get her damn phone.
Is.
She should have kicked him in the nuts.
And you don't do that to a woman. You're a 400-pound dude, right? So yeah, and we ran this all down on our show. But so that evolved, and we ended up talking about that because it was still early in the process. This is Tuesday, so we still got limited information. And then on Friday, at 11 o'clock or 10, 11 o'clock that morning, she was supposed to go at 1 o'clock on Friday to meet with the district attorney's office because they've been deciding what charges they were going to press. This has been going on for like 8 weeks, this investigation. Bubba's been quiet about it, hadn't said anything, hadn't been, degrading anybody. He didn't say a word, right? He didn't do anything. Wow. And then they called her at 11 and said, you know what, we found you were the aggressor in this. We're not going to charge him. And basically, you're lucky we're not charging you. And they flipped on a dime. So obviously somebody got to them. Something happened there.
What?
And so we had to get on Friday. When I found that out, I was like, Brantley, we got to get in here and do an emergency podcast on this. This is an evolving story that's really, I can't believe this happened. And now Calta's been off the air all last week. And even since Friday, even when the DA's office announced that, the backlash on the internet's been monstrous, against this, I mean, absolutely. And then even today, he was still off the air. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But it's just
well-deserved.
You don't treat women that way. And it's like at a different level. And he's done this before, with different things. So
well, and just like I said, I mean, doing the right thing aside legally.
Yes.
You can't just take someone's property,
just
especially if they were granted permission to be in that space with you at a meet and greet something. I mean, that's. And then the security step. So that's why. Well, we need to make sure if there is something that transpires over the next couple of days or any time, y'all let me know. I won't know much about the topic, but I'd love to listen in. We'll do another emergency pod because we're of beyond becoming one of the world's fastest award-winning podcasts is what we're on pace to be. We also are probably already the forerunner of the most accurate and credentialed podcast out of the Bubba Army franchise. I would say we are the actual. If when it comes to the Bubba Army world, I think Blasey is like the number one news broadcaster for that world.
Oh, 100%.
Because people want the truth, they come here. They
they
get everybody's opinion somewhere else, but they know they come here. You're just getting brass tacks.
We will provide updates
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. It's great to be a service to the Bubba Army. I love the Bubba Army, man. They're awesome. We appreciate their support, man. That's unbelievable.
That's Tampa, Florida. That's our people. That's South Florida. That's Florida in general. That's our people. Blasey's, that's a good enough. We back our brother's play. Good enough for Blasey. Good enough for us. Whatever we need to do. I love it. So, let's y'all, either way on our text thread, if anything pops up, we'll jump on that because something's going to come out of this. Something's going to come squirrely. They're going to figure out whose pocket they got, who got talked to, where the buck stops. Somebody will take this on the investigative journey ride down there, and somebody's going to figure some stuff out here because they're not going to Bubba's not going to let it go. We're not, and as long as everybody else does their job, we'll make sure to report the news and facts here. That's awesome, man. Well, that's cool. Like I said, I missed it, but I'm glad you guys got that in there. I saw that video, and I saw a couple of things on Twitter, and as we talked the other week, the X, Twitter,
X, still Twitter.
But I saw some things, but that's a good breakdown. So now I'm more in on the know on that. Hey, speaking of things, and I didn't have this in our notes, but just while I mentioned this to Sharice yesterday, because this could be something we could do from time to time. If there's something that everybody's about to hear about for the next little bit, and it's coming, if everyone hasn't seen it already. You know what I mean? There's always something ever so often like this, Well, the new one now, I'm sure you guys have seen, is the guy, Oliver Anthony, who sang the song.
Actually, I have him in my notes. I wanted to get your take on that guy. Okay. Very interesting.
I mentioned to Sharice last night, we went to the Brew Sunday Fun Day, came home, and we were listening to some videos, and I was like, hey, we were taking turns. She play a video, I play a video, and I said, this is not one of our picks, but I'm just playing this now because you're going to hear about us over the next couple of days or weeks or ever how long until the next thing comes along. But just so when you'll know what they're talking about and play to the video. Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, that's great, great poignant song. It hits a lot of tones with everybody right now because he's nailing some nails on the hitting some nails on the head. So it was great.
He is. He got and validated this past weekend with the great Jamie Johnson at some event. They played on stage. I mean, dude, he's moving. He's moving quick, man. It's happening. I can't imagine what the world is like for that dude right now at this moment from where he was at 1 week ago.
Right. Well, like we talked. What did you and I that talked on the last time we had did a podcast together? We talked about Zach Bryan talking about his journey on Joe Rogan. He put that video up. He was in the Navy, and a week later it went viral. His world changed. 4 months after that,
it's a similar deal. Similar.
So this guy, I'll be interested, and we'll chronicle it here along the way at the Tigs Bits podcast, but. I wouldn't be surprised if I give this guy at most, I say 12 months, he's headlining Red Rocks.
I don't know anything about what you're talking about. I've been so head deep into a balance between my job and covering the DJ situation down in Tampa that I don't even know what you're talking about. I just had to Google it, and I see a guy playing. Is he playing a banjo or something?
Yeah, it just playing like a dobro guitar, and but he just it's a real just honest song. It makes a couple statements about the song is Rich Man North of Richmond, so talking about the DC, the politicians obviously and stuff. But you'll have to check it out because even Charisse at first halfway through the song she's smiling, thinking, "Oh, what are you playing me now? Some of my hillbilly stuff I like." And then about halfway through it, I could see her smile went away, and after she was like, "Damn,
I can't wait to check that out."
That's pretty strong. It's
strong right definitely powerful. No doubt about it. And I look forward to seeing what happens with that guy's career. Of course, everybody listening, if you're not familiar, JR the Handler, the tour manager for Justin Moore, plugged into the music industry, so he does have us some insight into that stuff. And look, while we're talking about it, follow our social media pages at Tigsbits Podcast. You just type that in the search engine, search bar, whatever it is, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anywhere, all of those places. And you can go to tigsbits.com as well. We have some merch that is available, new vendor on some of the cups that are out there. So go check those out and support the show. We appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. And, I just thinking about it, you could do it as easy as just go to your Google search, put in Tigs Bits. It'll take you everything there.
It's going to pop up.
And there it is.
It took us a while to get to that point, but now we're there. That actually... that
Google
happens
me.
Now. Yeah, you can Google us
me.
now. Don't Google me. Just Google the show. Thank you.
Yeah. So now you've got our take on it. Blasey is a virgin to the Oliver Anthony experience, so you'll get to watch it this evening. Next time we catch up, you'll give us your input.
I'm going to put a link. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link down in the description below that has the link to that to the video. So
yeah, I think it was maybe the end of last week. This popped up somewhere, and it had 9 million views when I watched last night on one version of it.
You've probably seen it if you're watching this.
But we'll be able to talk about it again in a new light. Lacey will be able to talk about it here the first time, but we'll be able to talk about where it's progressed in a week.
Yeah. Hey, JR, I got a question for you. Is that Idaho turned sideways shooting a bullet?
This is a hat I got in Idaho one time from a show.
That is exactly what that is.
Okay.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's part of Idaho, like they have a little island somewhere outside of Idaho, or north, or how they go.
I don't think they do, but yeah. Oh, that is fantastic.
That's pretty cool though. I like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I got
this.
Looks
like Idaho sideways.
And I hope I'm not. It's been a while. I've had this hat for a while, but I think I got this from the twins, Duncan and Hunter, that have a podcast. Which I need to put that up. I hadn't checked on those guys in a while. It's Climb the Ladder podcast. Twin guys from Boise area that I met, and I believe they gave me these hats. I've listened to their podcast. It's been a couple of months. They do a lot of sports stuff. They're up in that area. They cover a lot of Northeast baseball and football and just different things. A really cool little podcast. And they're fans of music too. We met at a show up there one time, and then they started podcasting in the pandemic same time we did, and we've stayed in touch. But I believe that's where I got these hats. So I'm going to give those guys a shout out. Either way, Climb the Ladder podcast, cool podcast to check out. And Idaho representing.
Oh yeah, I really like that. Well, I tell you, running into them, I'm sure out on the road and just out touring and all that. What's the latest with Justin Moore? Don't we have a new number one, or had his 12th or 13th number one?
12th,
right?
Yep, 12th number one as of last week.
Wow.
You, Me, and Whiskey with Priscilla Block went number one on the country charts. So. That'll be number 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember on a show previously we were talking about this, and you were talking when this song just started releasing, and then I think his producer or somebody at the time said, "Man, I think you got a number one hit on your hand," and he was like thinking, "I'm not sure," you know what I mean? And then suddenly here we are. This has probably been 8 weeks ago or
It's
something.
a great song, man.
I don't know how long it's been at least, but here it is, number one. It's weird how they can kind of pinpoint that, but I know the first time I heard it, it's one of those songs you hear the first time, and you almost feel like you've heard it 20 times. You know what I mean? It's already kind of, you're feeling it. You don't have to listen to it to finally get it. So, no, that's a great song.
It's got a hook. That's the beauty of it.
It's got that familiar sound and good
it does.
Good content, clever writing, and then his voice. He's a great singer. She's a great singer. And it
can't
just
go
worked,
wrong.
And they don't always, I mean,
No.
you never know. And it's but it takes a village for sure, and it all starts with a song. That's what I tell everybody. Anybody wants to make it, just if you write a song good enough, you will make it. Whether
the song has to be good, and I mean, and there's probably been a lot of really, really good songs, and that were just sang by the wrong artist or just didn't have the right feel. Somebody, that if you could only imagine if such and such, sang this song and.
There's so many songs. There's songs I can't think any off the top of my head right now. I mean, I could pull some out, but there are songs that you guys have heard and you like, and you know them from this artist, but it actually was an album cut for another artist like 10, 20, 30 years before that.
Right.
That no one ever knew that they did it first, or it couldn't be like a year later. I know there was a Sammy Kershaw song, and then like 2 years later, Tim McGraw cut it, and it was number one. Or there are some of these songs that sit around for 30 years at a publisher's office before it finally somebody listens to it again and it works for somebody. That was was one of those. Was it the Alan Jackson, Jimmy Buffett song? That song was 20-something years old when when the publisher turned him onto it. Like that song had been written for 20-something years.
5 o'clock somewhere. That's crazy.
I think it was that one. So that kind of stuff happens. So just write the good song and everything else. If you sell it, if somebody else records it, however it works, it'll get you doors open. But the song is where it's at. And then to me, like we talked about with Coach Summerall, authenticity, man. Especially as us adults, I think kids, because we got duped too. You're easy to dupe into thinking something's good when it's really not. But as an adult, and that's the only way I can look and listen to things these days, is it's got to be something real. If it's BS, it's a bunch of crap, and you're like, next. And there's enough good stuff out there to listen to. You can go listen to whatever you want. That's one thing that kills me. Why people argue and talk about what they don't like. Hell, just go listen to something you like. There's so much out there. Why are you wasting time? Change it. Hurry up and change. Go listen to something good. Get that over.
Are they argue with you because they don't like your kind of music? Like, well, okay. I mean, I really wasn't asking you. I don't really care. You don't have to tell me you don't like it. I know you don't like it.
If you really want to get down to it, I'll bury you in a verbal assassination here with why yours really is shit and mine's good. Trust me.
If we got to get there, we can do that, for damn sure.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants to do that.
No, if you're getting that heated over music, that's a bad thing.
There was preseason football is happening now in the NFL. The Saints won yesterday. They beat the defending Super Bowl champions in a preseason football game as time expired. So, look, I don't want to get too fired up in the preseason, but they're going 17-0. That's obvious.
Yeah, right.
And then
Derek Carr's the new Drew Brees.
They don't even need to play this season, man. So they're just going to cruise. It's not even going to be tough.
But I know you guys are like me probably too. Any fantasy, if you guys do fantasy, I've got to do my drafts in the next week or so. I got to do one Saturday on the road.
So we got a league mandate. If you don't attend the draft in person, you're out of the league.
Serious league.
And it used to be a road trip every time, and they stopped that about the pandemic time.
Oh, wow.
But it was a road trip, like it was New Orleans, you had to go. And if you didn't go, you're out of the league. And but I think this year we're doing Redfish Taco.
I was going to go to Louisiana and do ours last weekend, but the flood situation, we had to abort our trip to Louisiana. So they moved it around. They want to do it at 5 o'clock on a Saturday. Obviously, I'm at work on a Saturday. I've got a security meeting at 5, so I guess I'm going to try to do mine around 3 o'clock this Saturday for my keeper league, which is a lot more involved than just a regular league, But when is what's the first game? What's kickoff?
Thursday, September 7th. That's the start of the NFL.
They keep inching that up.
Thursday night or
Wednesday,
Wednesday
Saturday
or whatever.
Game. There was a Friday game. There was a Thursday game. There was a Wednesday pregame. And they'll have a hitter on one of those. You know, they book them way out ahead of time, but they'll have one of those games will be a hitter. It'll be a couple of good teams sometimes not.
I'm looking forward to kind of getting into that. I'm ready to start tailgating. We're going to do some stuff as this season goes along. I'm going to try. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver here, but I do believe that I can nail down a couple of these little short videos or something to put into the podcast with our tailgating crew, which, you know, we're crazy. Yeah. It's huge. Oh, you know, some fun stuff.
Oh, why wouldn't you?
So, cool. We're definitely. I'm looking forward to football season, man. It's hard to. I'm still trying to wake up and believe that it's really here. Hype videos are starting to come out from colleges. I've seen Troy's. You passed that along to me this past weekend. I mean, that got me fired up.
We're in the vet, lock the gates, dude. That was such a good line. That's got to be picked up on this year.
Turn the lights out and play have smoke and some lights and lock the gates and big noise over the stereo, or the system and again oh yeah, y'all are going down.
I cut my grass with a purpose that day. I got out. It was hot. Oh, we hot? Oh, good. I'm glad it's hot. Let's get hotter. You know what I mean? Bring it. Let's do it.
I love it, man. I love it. LSU's done theirs. It'll make you run through a wall with Calling Baton Rouge, and they incorporated Garth Brooks and that big concert and all that into it. You know, everybody does these hype videos. Yeah. They get you hyped up, man.
Oh yeah, they get you hyped too. Who's Troy's first game, Blasey?
We play Stephen F. Austin, man. They're a tough school out of Texas, so you better be ready to play that first week, though. You know, I mean, that's the team coming in for them. That's like, hey, this is a big time. This is an opportunity to knock off, a bigger school, and you go in there and you're not prepared, you're not ready. That's the team to come in there and whip your butt. You know what I mean? So you better be ready. And you got to be ready every week, So
looks like
it's going to be fun.
The first big game. I mean, not knocking any of these other games, but the first ranked matchup looks like LSU and Florida State is 5-8.
I mean, I think that's going to be the game of the weekend, at least as far as
the first weekend.
Yeah. So they're playing. So they're playing Sunday games on the first weekend.
Yep. They now play Sunday. They're playing in Orlando. Right. So LSU and Florida State are playing in Orlando. So the last two games LSU will have played will both be in Orlando. The bowl game and then now the opener. Top 10 matchup to start the season. It doesn't get any better. Prime time at 8:00. I have an issue that night. I mean, obviously, we know what I'm going to do, but man, Godsmack. We've already talked to it. We've talked about how those incentives have come into Baton Rouge now. They're trying to bring bigger acts and get stuff, kind of get all that rolling. Seems like this has started, and Godsmack is coming to Baton Rouge. I want to go see Godsmack on a Sunday night, though, the same time that LSU and Florida State play.
That's why we shouldn't play college football on Sunday.
No, that's exactly right. And everybody in the Raising Cane's River Center is going to be wanting to watch the LSU game there will be no cell service. There's no chance. I don't know what's happening. There are no TVs in that arena.
Schedule a concert, man.
Terrible.
It really is like
somebody playing.
And I mean, any place in the South, any town in the South, if your team is playing, no, it ain't gonna work.
Tuscaloosa, Auburn, I
hate it for Godsmack. They're never gonna want to come to Baton Rouge again. Right. I mean, just because there ain't gonna be nobody there.
You schedule weddings around games and stuff. I mean, that's just. I mean, you have the times and stuff. I mean, that's just. Yeah, that's wild. I don't think we should play college football on Sunday. It's just my opinion, but
I agree.
I'm sure it's for television, so they can get more games on TV. But
of course it is. I'm not even sure what network is broadcasting that game, but it's absolutely for TV. I
mean, have it on here. I can tell you what I just saw that was interesting, and it ties into SEC and definitely Southern, but they were original SEC team. Tulane's kicking off the season, number 24 spot.
Oh wow!
Yes, they are.
The season last
year. In the second week they play Ole Miss, who's ranked 22 as of now. So that could be a good. Tulane's one of those schools, man. I wish they'd get. And Georgia Tech, those original SEC schools. I wish they'd get back to prominence. Which Georgia Tech's been good. I mean, it's big, big enough school. Tulane's a big school too. I don't know why they wouldn't absorb them back in the SEC. I know it's just like everything. We do everything for the wrong damn reasons.
They ain't coming in for an Uber conference right now. If there's anybody going to backdoor slide in at this point, it's going to be somebody like Florida State and Clemson. A big school.
Think. It'd have to be. I mean, like, we'd rather have Hawaii than a team that's actually in the southeast of the United States of America. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of Hawaii, man, those fires in Maui are just absolutely, absolutely terrible, man. Folks that's floating awful. In the ocean, fleeing to the water and stuff. So just thoughts and prayers out to those folks.
Absolutely.
I've been seeing a lot of that over the weekend, and it is just
that's terrible.
And I don't know what what we can do to help, but if anybody can go on, I'm sure and find a charitable organization to send some stuff.
I can tell you one place you can start. You can start with the Cajun Navy, and the Cajun Navy they're there. I've seen this on social media. I've seen it on some interviews as well. And, I know where that money goes, being here from Louisiana, being here when it all started through the floods and the stuff like that, the hurricane recoveries, just everything, and when Trump was in office, he announced the Cajun Navy. He actually helped to deploy them and use them as a resource, and they've been that way. So, I don't know I'm not telling anybody to go start to donate money to the Cajun Navy or anything like that, but that's a good place to start to look to see how you can help folks out there that are being affected by this. And there are a lot of people that are being affected by it. It's a bad deal. The deadliest U.S. wildfire in history, or at least in the last 100 years. So it's something that wasn't supposed to happen there. They're threatened by volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, things like that. But wildfires were at the bottom of the list of things that could potentially happen. And of course, here we are. So it's a crazy world out there. We're not going to get into a climate change debate over here or anything like that. But there are things like this that are happening more and more often. And it's,
I was trying to dig into that the other day. And, of course, it didn't take very long before I started all these conspiracies about these directed energy weapons. Is what started the fire in Maui. I was like, they're trying to claim laser beams from outer space. I'm like, golly, people will claim.
I really think a power pole falling down due to 80-mile-an-hour winds seems plausible to me. But God bless them. They didn't have any warning, and they say that they have.
Yeah, the warning signals didn't come off. The sirens didn't go, and then the fire. Then you got like high winds from all that water surrounded, so you get that wind coming through there. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't even really respond. You try to go throw water in front, and it goes nowhere. They just had
not
chance,
a chance.
Man. That's terrible.
No. It is, man.
Terrible.
Our hearts go out. Our hearts go out to them, and then in other news, we'll start to kind of wrap the show up here. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. There's been just a lot going on. We usually have a themed type of show. Lately, we've had so much daggum news that every week when we get together, we just have to talk about that stuff. So it's just
fresh off the press,
constantly breaking in. Who knows what? There may be an emergency pod on something this week. There's no telling. But the Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg fight, it looks as if it's being postponed. Not that I really ever cared to begin with. I don't know if y'all cared either.
I kind of did care. Yeah, I was kind of intrigued. I wanted to see these two get like the Coliseum in Rome and battle it out. Why not? Why not? Everybody else gets
the money goes to charity or whatever, and they get to share it on their social media platforms and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you, man, I'm not in outside of this UFC MMA style fight. I'm not really a huge Zuckerberg fan at all, as we've discussed on the show, but I think he'd whip Elon Musk's ass in this deal. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think he's been training.
He's been training a lot.
Whoever's got the training and who's in shape's going to win.
Yeah. Zuckerberg, he's He's not a black belt. I don't know what belt he is, but he's done jiu-jitsu, I believe. He's being trained by some of the best in the world in MMA. And I've seen some of the videos of him doing. I mean, they're impressive, I mean, he's definitely, and as he said in the statement, he's taking the sport seriously. He's really wanting to truly compete. Elon Musk, on the other hand, he's worried about X, Twitter, Tesla, and all those things. And, I think he reached out to him over the weekend that he wanted to train in his octagon in his backyard. Maybe it was a little bit half-hearted. Seems as if Zuckerberg seemed to take it as he was bowing out, and then that's why we're at where we're at with it. But I believe if it were to go down and they truly fought like it was a real deal fight, I don't think it would take long, and I think Zuckerberg would win easily.
Yeah, so I mean, and I get it, right? I mean, he's been training. He's he does this. He fights. You know what I mean? He trains. But dude, I was watching. So Elon, first of all, is a lot bigger guy. Doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, a smaller guy can beat the bigger guy all the time. But dude, I was watching him the other day. He did a thing on Twitter, and he was testing his live feed. And while he's just sitting there talking on his live feed, he picks up a 45-pound dumbbell, and he's sitting there just curling it like it's nothing, and just sitting there and laughing. And I was like, just picked it up. And I got to realize, and I was like, dude, this is a strong man. Like, dude, you go try to curl some 45s. I mean, that's some weight. Mm-hmm. And he made, and I'm not saying he even works out that much, but I think he's got one of those dudes that's just built a little bit different strength-wise. I think that right there kind of just went, dude, if he gets his hands on this cat, he's not going to get away from him. That's my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. He'd go in there and take him out and have him, in an arm bar in 2 minutes and it'd be over with. I don't know.
If Elon Musk has any kind of grappling or any kind of he's going to have some kind of submission, you know what I mean? But if he has any kind of wherewithal what to do with what he's got, then yeah, he's got a chance. And also he might train like a madman and he just don't post it. He might do secret.
Very true.
I tell you what, when he was doing those curls, I was like, you could tell this dude lifts weights. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, and usually it's all loose shirts. You don't notice anything about him. But when he curled that weight, it's like you saw something in there.
That's doing something.
I was like, oh, hold on. This dude, there's more inside there than what we'd realize, I think.
But he did hurt his back. He did wrestle a sumo wrestler a few years back. And in that deal, it compressed a couple of his discs in his back. And of course, he's talked about some kind of shoulder injury or something. I mean, the bottom line on the whole deal is, who really cares? But I do care. It's mindless entertainment with two of the biggest cats on earth at the moment, and
he's going to taunt him tonight. He's driving. He's got a self-driving car, and he's programming to test this some new car that he's working on right now or something that Tesla's doing, and they're programming it. Its first trip's going to be to Zuck's house. Wow. He's like, we'll see if he answers the door. That was his tweet.
That's so awesome. I mean, that is the funny stuff with Musk, dude. He is funny, and he is constantly on it. He is just constantly, absolutely on it. We'll wrap up here, but this is very important news, very, very important from Blasey today. From my understanding, he was able to go and have lunch and give us a review on Back Beach Barbecue in Panama City. And of course, we've had JD Marsh, who's with Breggy Bomb, on the show multiple times, talking about all of his favorite places in Texas and everywhere else. And he has more than once on this show said how much he loves Back Beach Barbecue. So you were able to, and you had been there before. You and I talked off there before we did this. But give us some thoughts. What'd you think about it today?
Man, I'll tell you what. So I've been there. It's been a while, and I've told people, like I said on the show, people ask that are barbecue. Man, there's a really good barbecue place down there. But to me, I went and ate barbecue. It was just good barbecue. It was good, but I didn't. By hearing JD Marsh when he said on that show, like, hey, outside of Texas, like, this might be the best Texas barbecue place that there is. And I was like, whoa, that's a huge statement. I got to go back in there thinking, thinking a little bit different mindset and like kind of look around more and like understand this place a little bit more in depth. So yeah, man. So I get there today. I was going to do the ribs and brisket. And then it was just like, that's so much food. Like the quantity was ridiculous. And I was like, no, I'm just going to brisket sandwich. And I got a side of collards. And dude, those collards, I couldn't get past the collards first. Like they were so good. Like they were done right. I love collards, man, too. And it was so good. And dude, that brisket was, just money. The meat was moist. It was tender. It was like that smoke in there, that flavor. It's everything that you want. So I'm sitting there eating my sandwich and I'm observing. I've took the pictures of the menu board and just kind of checking the whole place out, looking out there at all their big pit smokers. They've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them lined up out there into this like shed. And this dude's out there working. Well, suddenly this guy comes wheeling a cart in there, and on the cart are like these big metal trays, pans with something in them. And the top of them, they're moving looks like a waterbed. You know what I mean? Just like as he's moving, I was like, what is that? It's like this yellow brown goodness wave. And I was like, is that macaroni and cheese coming off that smoker, And he takes it to the back, and I was so kind of stunned by it.
It's still bubbling
like 6
a little.
of them. And I was like, oh, man, I should have got a picture of that. Well, he comes back out, and I was like, hey, man, what was that you just brought in? He said, oh, that's our mac and cheese. Have you never had it? And I was like, I don't think I have. He said, it's the best side we have. He said, hold on a minute. And then he walked back there, and he got me a little cup and gave me probably a good half serving of it. Oh, my God, that mac and cheese, dude, was ridiculous. And what's funny, he's talking to me. I've got these collards in my mouth. He's like, have you ever had our mac and cheese? And I'm going, but these collards right here are on point, is what I can tell you. And so he was super cool, man. So anyway, I did that. Then I went out there and talked to him for a couple minutes. And his name was Daniel, dude. He was awesome. He was kind of showing me everything, telling me, kind of the whole deal there. He's loading wood. And it's real deal. It's just total legit. It is on point. Back Beach Barbecue, Panama City Beach, man. Like if you're down at the beach, you're looking for some real authentic Texas barbecue.
That's your place.
It's really where it's at, man.
Good
yes,
to know. Well, there it is. The ringing endorsement for the Back Beach Barbecue Company in beautiful Panama City, Florida.
Yep.
Now y'all got me hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry too. It's almost supper time. We appreciate everybody tuning in this week. It's so good to have JR back. As I said earlier, it's nice to have a little decorum back into the podcast. We maybe get back into talking a little bit of seriousness, get out of the slums a little bit, but we'll get, don't worry, we'll be back there soon enough.
It's like the briar patch and the rabbit. You know what I mean? You just can't stay away.
Ladies maybe said, I'm from the streets and sometimes find myself waking up in them still.
For sure.
We try to keep it straight, but every now and then we dip and dodge. It's as Dusty Rhodes said, I've eaten and dined with kings and queens, and I've dined in back alley on pork and beans, baby, all of them.